So welcome to the 40-day Sales Dare graduation. So what I want to do is hear from each of you. You were given the assignment to basically answer 3 questions. One question was, what do you believe this book is worth? And if you earned that money or when you earned that money, what would it mean for you and your family? And then the second question was, how do you compare yourself today to yourself 40 days ago before we started the program? And then how do you compare your team today versus your team before the program started? So let's jump in it. So why don't we start with our fearless leader, Larry?
Overall, I mean, I could probably be doing, I don't know, maybe a half a sale a week, 26 sales in a year, just because you're finding one more question to ask the guy. So that would be substantial. That's what I like about it.
Great. And what about you as a coach? How do you feel you're different today as a leader and a coach versus before?
You were talking about something about the grace or the grit. I think I've gone more towards the grit side, being a little bit more, a little more stubborn, I guess. So that was something that I needed. So I feel much stronger that way.
That's good. Well, and again, it's grit is not a bad thing. I believe we're attracted more to people who push us out of our comfort zone more than other people. In the long run, if you were to look back on it, the people who have changed you the most, the people who have impacted you the most, they're the people who've really pushed you the most.
Well, I did what's it worth, and I came up with a really high value. Because I figured if I did all the dares, I probably was getting 1 to 2 sales per dare. So it ended up quite a bit. What would this mean to me as a family? I would go probably to Disney World.
I estimated that I would increase my income about $46K. And number one question, what would this money mean to me and my family? My answer is, I plan to retire in 2 years, and if this extra money comes in, that's $100,000. I'll be out of here in 18 months.
I think it's awesome that you are looking 18 months ahead, and I think that's great that you're attributing increased income, to the effort you put in for the program. And I know Larry and myself, we will do whatever we can to help you reach that goal over the next 18 months. We'll definitely push you, and we'll definitely kick you in the behind when you're slacking off to make sure you get that extra $45,000. So I can't wait to see you at the end.
I definitely think that the 40 days brought to light a lot of the things that I do on an instinctual basis. It's just what I've done for many, many years. And so the 40 days to me brought all of that to the forefront, helped me appreciate the strengths that I have, and made me focus on the fact that there are certain things that I was doing already, and that's great. But it also brought out the weaknesses and allowed me to focus on those and acknowledge them and know where I need to look at some of those things. As to what I will do with the extra money, and I do feel there's going to be extra money coming in, and what that means to me personally is being able to pay off my mom's mortgage. It's not a lot of money, but it's going to mean a lot to her. It'll mean so much to her if I can do that for her.
I look at my sales as a process, in a presentation process, and I had come from a different pricing structure coming to this company. And so I've been retooling my sales process and going through this last 40 days. I've come up, we've come up with ideas, and I said, yeah, I can use that here, or I can use that here. I found, some great ideas in here. In fact, I got to credit you with one that I'm even using in my family right now, and that's the one with, how would you fix it?
It helped me coming on board because it helped me to get to know everybody, get to know how they were doing theirs. And if I could pick something up from their selves, it helped me to do better. Today, I think I'm more confident, more educated, more prepared to be able to do all these dares and not feel, am I doing the right thing? I'm asking the right questions. I'm confident that I am, and to get pushed for that.
more focused, more confident, now willing to ask the questions instead of being timid. All right, having a game plan to go through, which we didn't have before, and you're just coming out with the results of when we have a qualified person in us, we can actually sell. So much better.
I really did like actually the calling in, because during the week you don't think about what someone else is doing in another community. You're just focused on your necessary community, and not that everybody else is going, is there too. And it kind of brought into focus that everybody's trying to get questions answered that maybe we didn't know, or something like that, or we discussed, what we could do better, or we found out, people felt the same way as I did. So I like that.
One way I'm different, so I feel like I'm a little smarter. I'm definitely added a new can of sales ideas and customer approach techniques that I think will enhance my sales presentations and expand my chances of increased production to reach that 46K. I'm like you, I love to hear success stories. And I think that was one of the nicest things about our group calls. I got to hear how Dare 14 helped Arlene in a different way than it did me, and the same for the rest of the members. But to me, it was really sharing best practices. And I think all the team has learned something from that. And I think this ability to do so will really enhance and shorten our trip to success.
This teamwork that we did, this 40 days, I think was awesome. This allowed me to get closer to people, allowed me to observe what Main Street Homes was, because I got to hear one-on-one from fellow salespeople how they approach their business, the things that they do, the problems that they face compared to what I was facing. I think that's really, really important. The synergy is great when you had us do the conference calls. But the fact that we talked to our sales manager every day for those 10 or 15 minutes meant so much more.
I love the fact that this program is strengthening the relationship between the coach and the sales athlete. I think that's the coolest thing in the world, because so many builders that I talk to out there just don't really have that relationship. They don't see their coach in that light, and so I think that's amazing that's happened for you. So thank you. Okay, so let me kind of end with this. A couple years ago, before Shelly and I had kids, we decided to do one last trip together, and we went to Italy, and we backpacked all through Italy, and I remember us going through this museum in Florence, and we go into this museum and we take the tour, and the docent, who's the tour guide, takes us to this David statue by Michelangelo, and I had never heard the story behind the David statue. Maybe you guys had, but I remember the story, and it just really stands out to me, and I wanted to share it with you today. So this docent, he was there, and he says, many of you might not have realized that several artists had failed in the creation of the David statue, and that Michelangelo was actually the third artist that had been commissioned to finish the project of the David statue. And the piece of rock was so magnificent, so huge, that they literally erected an entire building around this piece of rock. And many years later, the David statue was unveiled and created, and it was put in the middle of Florence, and they had the white sheet, and they unveiled the statue, and at that moment, Michelangelo was literally etched into the history books. And as the story goes, this little girl comes up to Michelangelo and kind of tugs on his cloak and says, Michelangelo, how did you create something so amazing out of a piece of rock? And Michelangelo replied, he said, it was easy. He said, all I did was take a hammer and a chisel and chip around the edges, and I released the David from within. So all I want to say is that when I heard that story, it just made me think of what you guys have really gone through over the last 40 days. We really haven't done anything special if you think about it. All we've done is taken a hammer and a chisel and chipped around the edges, and we released the David from within each of you. So it's been an absolute pleasure leading you guys through the last 40 days of your career, and I look forward to the next 40 days of your career.